All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
camera,
Go.
check.
Talent.
Ready, camera,
And cue talent.
One.
Roll for record.
Batman versus Superman, are we seeing the dawn of the New World movie order? I'm John Phillips, and this is The Rundown. The reviews were brutal. Critics called Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice a crime against comic book fans, the battle of the Boers, and said even Wonder Woman can't save this unholy mess. Yet the box office was great. It was the 6th highest opening of all time and the highest ever in the month of March. Amazingly, international audiences are now more important than domestic box office returns. That's new. It made $424 million, but only $170 million of that money came from the United States. And the impact of those international dollars is changing the product that Hollywood is creating. In fact, that's part and parcel of the whole Oscars So White controversy from a few months back. As we learned from the Sony email hack, executives believe international audiences, and the Chinese in particular, will not see a movie with a black lead. Here's a quote from a highly placed producer, quote, "I believe that the international motion picture audience is racist. In general, pictures with an African-American lead don't play well overseas," end quote. So here's the question. As the importance of the American box office shrinks, will our blockbusters start ignoring American tastes? And do movie reviews even matter anymore? Joining me to talk about all the controversy is author and political satirist Scott Ott in his home studio in Dallas, Texas. And here in Los Angeles, we're joined by stand-up comic and PJTV contributor Stephen Cruiser and humorist Sunny Lohman. So, Cruiser, we'll start with you on this one. The critics trashed this movie. I think Fox News was the only news agency that had a critic that liked the movie, yet the fans seemed to like it. Is this more evidence that there's just a huge break between where the American public is and where the film industry is, the Oscar voters, the critics, et al.?
I think so. I think the role of the critic, any kind of entertainment critic in America, has diminished quite a bit in recent years anyway because of online critics. You know, people don't go to the newspaper critic to find out what they thought about a movie anymore. People go to online reviews now to see what regular moviegoers are thinking. You know, they go to Rotten Tomatoes. They'll go anywhere but to a movie critic in a newspaper. And I think that, like so many people in the newspaper industry, they're unaware of their diminishing role. So, but I also think that this is further proof that these comic book franchise things are gold no matter how they do them. It doesn't matter what they try. Every time a new one comes out, I remember when Henry Cavill came out as the Superman in the last movie, everybody's like, it made a fortune. These things are just, this is why the movies keep getting made, or trying to, the Marvel and DC franchises, because they're just gold whether here or overseas, and there's almost nothing you can do to screw them up.
It's kind of a formula at this point,
Yeah.
and it just feels like Hollywood is out of ideas. So
They are.
The superheroes have now fought every villain, and now they're going to fight each other. And next we should do some superhero rom-coms, I think. We should have, like, you know, Sleepless in Gotham, or when Batman Met Sally.
Is it really Batman v Superman?
That's the next thing, because they've done everything. They have just, and maybe the critics are getting tired of it. I don't know, but obviously it's a formula, and people still love it, and they love it overseas in particular.
How about it, Scott? Because you look at the way things work in Hollywood, everything's a pendulum. And back in the old days, the studios were the ones that had all the power. And then things shifted to where the big name stars, the Tom Cruises of the world, all those guys, they had the power. And now, as Sonny and as Cruiser said, it's the franchise that has all the power, where kids want to go to the movies and moviegoers want to go to the movies to see Superman or Batman, but they don't care who Superman or Batman is played by. They don't, it doesn't register to them. Your thoughts?
That's right. I mean, they're characters. They're gladiators. It doesn't matter which actor is playing them. You know, and frankly, when I go to a movie, I have, you know, 2 reasons why I go to a movie. Number 1 is because I get to sit next to my wife and she occasionally lets me hold her hand. And number 2, because I want to be entertained. What a crazy idea. I don't want to analyze why it's doing this or what's happening with that or who's in it or anything like that. I just want to have fun or be moved to tears or laughter or whatever. And I think this movie accomplishes that. Could it have been better? I don't know. I can't make movies, so I don't know whether it could have or should have been better. I will tell you, though, up front, when my kids first started telling me about this movie, and they were immediately excited, and I have a 17-year-old boy and a 19-year-old boy, and they were both fired up about this, and I said, oh, come on. I will not go to a movie and watch two of my superheroes who are good guys fight each other. Like, that just seemed utterly wrong to me, and I still, frankly, didn't like the premise of the movie. But it's entertaining. I mean, a lot of stuff blows up and people punch each other, and it's very exciting.
All the elements of a good flick. Now, Cruiser,
That's right.
Now that we know that the international audience is so important to the success or failure of these movies, do you think it's going to result in American movie makers exporting American exceptionalism to foreign markets? Or do you think we're going to bow down and try to not offend the sensibilities or try to, I guess, cater to the sensibilities of international audiences?
I think the only American exceptionalism that's going to be exported is Captain America. Anything beyond that, I don't think they want it. You'll still get plenty of movies from Hollywood every year that are apologetic, that are the evil war machine, all of that, all the time, and they won't sell well. I don't think that they're going to see it because Hollywood doesn't look at America that way. The majority of the people, and as much as I love the entertainment industry, and I've been in it my whole life, most of the people out here making movies don't see America that way. They see the America that, like Ben Affleck would make in another movie like Argo or something like that. They see the bad people, big oil, awful. That's just it's so ingrained in them. They wouldn't know how to make a good movie about American exceptionalism unless it were in comic book form and they were treating it like a comic book.
Sonny, you look at popular TV shows over the last few years. You've got Dexter, where the character is dark. You've got Nurse Jackie, where the character is dark. You've got Breaking Bad, where the character is dark. And it seems like there's a trend right now where people like protagonists that are dark. Superheroes typically go the opposite way. You look back at the Christopher Reeves edition of Superman, and he was bright, he was red, white, and blue, truth, justice, the American way. Same thing with Wonder Woman, when Linda Carter played her in the TV series. But can we put that picture back up of the superheroes in this movie? Look at how things have changed. This is more, it looks to me,
That's
more
no
like a
Christopher
Breaking
Reeve.
Bad or a Dexter than the old school edition of Superman. Did you notice that too?
I did, and in fact, I saw the old Christopher Reeve Superman on TV a couple of days ago, and his costume is so bright and colorful. It's very dark, but it's culturally what we want, and at least Superman in the new Superman isn't so flawed. I mean, he is a hero. He's a good person and a good guy. Batman has always been a bit of a flawed hero. He's mixed. He's got darkness. He's angry. So yeah, I like Superman. I like Captain America. I like their American kind of purity.
Even when they're played by Brits.
They are played by Brits. Yeah.
What do you make of the dark turn, Scott?
Yeah, I think you're clearly right about that. I mean, in almost everything you see. It's funny because I don't watch a lot of TV shows, but members of my family watch more than I do. And as I'm walking past the living room, recently I looked up again and I said, folks, is there any kind of show that you guys watch where somebody isn't being gutted? I mean, it just seems like there is an autopsy happening or some sort of brutal murder happening in everything you see on TV. And Sonny is right. I mean, there was a purity and a courage and a boldness and an Americanism about Superman up until really this latest incarnation. And by the way, just because you haven't mentioned him yet, my favorite Batman is, of course, Adam West. And Adam West was clean and bright and good and a little daft at times, but he was always trying to do the right thing. Like I said, I really didn't like the plot of this latest movie, and I would like to see one where I think what Hollywood is afraid of is that they can't do goodness and Americanism unironically.
But it's not just Hollywood. The comic books have gotten darker, and that's where a lot of these plots are coming from. So if you look at the evolution of comic books, they are also very dark.
I gotta say, every single person I know who's seen this movie has gone into it thinking they were going to hate it, and every single one of them has loved it. Everybody, all of my friends, hardcore comic book people, they all have loved it.
All right, now this is spring break for a lot of kids.
Yes.
Scott Ott, will you give the Scott Ott recommendation on this movie to people with children?
How many aughts does it get?
Yeah. How many T's?
If Ben Affleck doesn't want to let his kid watch the movie, I would be hesitant to recommend it to little kids. I was almost going to say, take your family to see My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. However, there's some stuff that's really not appropriate for little kids in that either. It was funny because when we were in line for the movie, there were parents who had brought their children, and the kids are wearing capes and Superman shirts and Batman masks, and it was really kind of cool. But I would say to parents, screen the movie first before you take your little children to it.
Scott Ebert gets the last word. Now it's time to find out what you think. Do you look at the reviews before seeing a movie? And as Hollywood chases international dollars, will American audiences be left behind? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.